Hi, I would like to share some thoughts I've been thinking about. I was reading the book of Esther, and I was amazed how much it is a paraphrase of the gospel. It's a picture of the gospel, and of course, this Persian king is not. Like Jesus in every aspect, of course. So this parallel is not perfect, but there are some aspects to it that are astonishing. Just the very beginning, when there's a huge feast where the king has endless wine and endless food, and the people are invited to celebrate with the king, and the queen refuses to show up. And it's a picture of the marriage supper of the Lamb that is beyond time, that has been going on since forever, and it's gonna last forever, and you can join in any time, where there is an endless supply of everything. And there is this false wife, this false bride that who refuses to join in. She has the position of the wife. She has all the rights with it. Yeah, she uses this right to refuse the invitation of the king. And refusing to drink from the king's table and eat his food and drink his wine and celebrate with him equals not being his queen anymore, not being his wife anymore. She had her own party with the other women. She had her own business, and she refused to enjoy the everlasting feast. Just like the false bride right now. And I don't want to name any church the false bride. We are all the false bride time to time when we refuse to celebrate at the king's table. Jesus said that if you don't eat my body and don't drink my blood, I have nothing to do with you. I don't know you. And yeah, there is a false bride right now. And we can join in to embody that false bride every time we refuse to show up at the king's table. And we refuse to join in his celebration. And eat his body and drink his wine. And it's not about communion. Not just about that. It's about enjoying him, eating from his table, eating from his supplies. And of course, Jesus wouldn't, refuse anyone, but it's still a good picture of showing that refusing to show up at the celebration equals not being the queen. And I really love it that when Esther becomes the wife, she's part of the whole celebration. I think Esther is the real bride. The bride Jesus is coming back for. I think she's the real wife, the real queen. And when she gets into great trouble, she doesn't try to solve this problem on the level of the problem. Like, it was a political issue, it was a national issue, it was a rights issue and law issue, and she didn't deal with the situation on that level. She could make an uprising or collect signatures or form a party. Or I'm not against politics. I know people are called to it, but it's important to recognize that she didn't deal with the problem on the same level with the problem. She went way much higher. She went right to the king. And the previous wife refused to go to the party the king organized. The real queen organizes herself a party for the king. She has her own dinner for the king. And I really love how cheeky she is. She risks everything to show up at the king's palace, and she doesn't say a word about her situation or the whole problem. She just invites the king for dinner. And even more cheeky, she even invites the enemy. She was not acting against the enemy. She didn't do anything with the enemy. And Jesus is teaching me that it's not about what you are against of. It's about what you are for. You don't need to live against something. You need to live for something. Sometimes I really feel like, tear down some bad stuff in the church. And I feel like the Holy Spirit is telling me that no. That's not how I do my dealings. You need to do what you are for. And Queen Esther knew what is closest to the king's heart. And it's eating together and have fellowship. And that's what she has done. She even invited the enemy. It's something like what David wrote, that you set a table in the presence of my enemies. Okay, I can eat with the king. With the enemy at the table, I don't really care. I know when we will be there, the king's gonna do what I desire. So the enemy doesn't make much trouble. I don't care if he's there, because it's gonna be even more obvious how bad he is and how obvious are his dealings. And Esther didn't even tell the whole issue on the first feast, just on the second. And the king asks her what she would like, and he offers up everything. And I love it that Esther knew what is closest to the king's heart. What is the situation? What is the depth of fellowship where the king asks her, whatever you want, I will give to you. And she waits for that moment to come up with her desire. So she really knew how the king worked, how the king thought, and what he liked. And she enjoyed this fellowship with him, and she enjoyed eating and drinking, not even caring about the enemy. But it had a great side effect, an incredible fruit. But it could only happen because of their relationship. It could only happen because she was who she was, and she had the level of fellowship she had with the king. And the enemy had no say in this issue. All he was eliminated, and all of his fortunes had been given to Esther's family, and Esther's whole nation got saved from the hands of the enemy. So this fellowship had incredible side effects, impacting a whole nation. But it was only because of their feasting together that it could happen. And I'm sure that God is calling a feasting generation, a real bride who takes part at the marriage supper of the Lamb and eats from his table. And she also prepares a meal for the king and invites him. And they have this mutual exchange. They eat and drink together and enjoy each other and feel each other's desires and make each other's desires come true. And yes, it has an amazing fruit, but it's not about the fruit. It's about who you are. It was about who Esther was. She was the queen, the real queen, who loved the king, who loved being with the king. Yeah, I'm sure there will be indescribable side effects impacting nations if this bride of Christ enjoys the fellowship with her king. But most of all, she should realize that she is the queen, that she could do that. She doesn't have to deal with the situation as a slave girl would. She doesn't have to deal with the situation the same level as an important political person would. as she doesn't have to deal with the situation on the level of Haman, the level of the enemy. She's way much higher than that. She's one with the king. And on the dinner with the king, she can come up with anything. And it will be given to her. Let us drink and be filled, O lovers. As the Song of Songs says, it's time to partake on the King's feast. It's time to invite the King to our feast. God bless you guys.